Oh, that's so beautiful. You know, now I know how the great Billy Graham felt, because it's the same feeling. We love Billy Graham. We love Billy Graham. You know, this all started, we had a hotel, and we were going to have about 250 or 300 people. And the hotel was great. They called. They said, something's happening here. We can't hold this. This is crazy what's going on. And then we went to the convention center, and they can have 10,000 people. And we're all set, and we're excited. And the next day they said, too many people. We can't put them in. So we came here. We came here. You know, today, if you notice, we have a stock market not doing so well. We have a country not doing so well. We've been saying it for a long time. We have politicians, other than the few politicians that are with us tonight, right? We'll exclude them. But we have politicians that don't have a clue. They're all talk, they're no action. What's happening to this country is disgraceful. And you know, when I announced that I was running for president, I brought up the subject of illegal immigration. And I took a lot of heat, that I can tell you. Rush Limbaugh actually said incoming. He got more incoming than anybody I've ever seen. And 2 weeks later, everybody was apologizing to me. They saw that I was right. Between what happened in San Francisco to incredible Kate and her family is such an incredible family, and Jamil and so many people have been so badly hurt. The other day in California last week, a woman, 66 years old, a veteran, was killed, raped, sodomized, tortured, and killed by an illegal immigrant. We have to do it. We have to do something. We have to do something. So we're going to talk. We're going to have a lot of fun. You know, the weather's a little dicey. That's okay. But who cares if it rains, right? Right? You know, if it rains, I'll take off my hat and I'll prove once and for all that it's mine, okay? So we're going to talk about a lot of different subjects, and you know, it's nice Friday night. What the heck, right? What's better? What's better? What people? The people that built this country. That's what we have here. I mean, the people that built the country. Great people. So we'll start with a little talk on the illegal immigration, what's going on. We've got to stop it. We're going to build a wall, and it's going to be, you know, it's amazing. The politicians 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they all wanted a wall. But it never went. It never happened. Because somebody didn't want it. Probably a lobbyist. You know, all these guys like Bush and like Hillary Clinton, they're all taken care of. I don't know if you know. Yeah. True. No, but when Hillary has $60 million, and when Jeb Bush, who's totally in favor of Common Core, weak on immigration, right? Very weak on immigration, wants to let people come in. Although now he is using Anchor Baby. You know, he put out a memo, you cannot use Anchor Baby. Now because I used it, he's using it. Politicians, but when they have, in his case, $114 million, in Hillary's case, she's got 60. Now, I don't know that she's going to make it to the gate. What do you think? I don't know. I'm not sure that she's making it to the gate. Some bad things came out today, you know, those classified. You know the word classified. You know, they've destroyed General Petraeus over less, and nothing seems to be happening here. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens ultimately. But we have right now, and I just got these numbers today. I said, what are they? 7.5% of all of the births in this country are illegal immigrants, okay? You can't afford it. And they're supposed to stay. Now, I turned out to be right, the 14th Amendment. You know, I had these guys on television, oh, you can't change the 14th Amendment. It'll take so long. On that, I agree. But you know what? An act of Congress. The 14th Amendment, I was right on it. You can do something with it, and you can do something fast. You can do something fast. So we have 300,000 babies a year, 300,000 that you have to take care of, we all have to take care of. And you know, in the case of other countries, including Mexico, they don't do that. It doesn't work that way. You don't walk over the border for one day and all of a sudden we have another American citizen. It doesn't work that way. Mexico doesn't do it. Other places don't do it. Very few places do it. We're the only place just about that's stupid enough to do it. So I decided to run. I've gotten an amazing reception. We have to say, has this been crazy? Man, I mean, it's been wild. I'm a non-politician. The other day I served jury duty, right? I told you, they had occupation. I refused to put down politician. But I will say this, we have a great politician here. We have a man here who really helped me, and he's the one person I sought his counsel because he's been so spot on. He's so highly respected. Has anybody ever heard of Senator Jeff Sessions? Huh? Jeff, come up. Where's Jeff? Get over here, Jeff. Look at him. He's like 20 years old. Unbelievable guy. Look at this. Come here. Just say hello. Come here, Jeff. Just say hello.
Donald, welcome to my hometown, Mobile, Alabama. The American people, these people, want somebody in the presidency who stands up for them, defends their interests and the laws and traditions of this country. We welcome you here. Thank you for the work you put into the immigration issue. I'm really impressed with your plan. I know it will make a difference. And this crowd shows that a lot of people agree with that. Congratulations. Welcome and God bless.
Thank you, Jeff. He was so great, such a help. So I go around and I see so many people, and I've been treated so well by the people. And you know, we're leading in every poll. We're leading in just about every state, including Alabama. Big. We're leading in Florida. Can you believe it? And we're leading big in Florida. And you know, it's really amazing. I said, well, Florida, I love Florida. It's a great place, right? Great. But Florida, we have a governor and we have a sitting senator, and I'm killing them. Explain that. Obviously, they're not doing a very good job because that shouldn't be happening. But we're winning in Florida, Pennsylvania, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas. And then nationally, we're just absolutely way ahead of everybody else. In fact, you know, if this were another country, we could maybe call for an expedited election, right? I would love it. Can we do that? Can we do that? I'd like to have the election tomorrow. I don't want to wait. So the reason that I think we see this receptivity is that I know the game better than anybody. I've been on the other side. You know, I was totally establishment, was handed and millions of dollars all the time to these characters, right? I was like the fair-haired boy. Do I look fair-haired from back then? But I know the game. I mean, I understand it. And so many people have come up, lobbyists. I said, I don't want money from lobbyists. But recently, last week, a man comes up who's a good guy. I know him. Lobbyist. I say, I don't want your money. I don't want your money. Because, I don't know, maybe I'll rethink it. Should I rethink it? Take it. Take it. You know what I should do? How about this? How about if I take his money, but in the end I screw him and don't do anything for him? Is that okay? Can I do that? You know, because I built a great business and I feel sort of stupid. I say, I don't want your money. Can I take it, please? I promise I won't do anything for him. I told him, I said, you know, I don't want your money because in 2 years when you come to see me about something, I'm not doing it unless it's good and unless it's going to make America great again, right? Right? But I'm going to have to rethink it. I think I'm going to rethink that because I think I should take a lot of money. Are we allowed to give it to charity or something? I don't know. Give it to charity. Just take it. Just take it. So what happens is these guys come up, and I'm lucky. You know, everybody said he's never going to run. Okay? You know that, right? And my wife actually said, you know and she knows me pretty well. And she also sees the reaction. And for a long time, whether it's Trump, The Art of the Deal, which Obama and Kerry obviously did not read when they did this crazy deal with Iran. Oh, look, The Art of the Deal. Come here, give me that book. I love that book. You know, I said the other day, and it sort of played pretty well, that is my second, help her over here. Help her over here. That is give me that book. Give me that. There's always The Art of the Deal, and that's the real one. That's the original. That's when they use real paper, right? You know, I said the other day, because so many people, they carry around The Art of the Deal, because they're begging their politicians, please, please, read The Art of the Deal when you negotiate with China, and with Japan, and with Mexico, and with Vietnam, and with Saudi Arabia, and with everybody. You know, right now we have a problem where North Korea is getting frisky, right? Now, recently I ordered 4,000 television sets. I'd like to order them from here. Like the hats are made in America. Can you believe I was able to find the guy? I had to do that because, you know, these hats are hot as a pistol. You know that. And they're made in America, and I'm going to give you your book. Believe me, I haven't forgotten about you. But they're made in America. But the other day, and now I see today, it's sort of pretty hot on the news, that our very dear friend from North Korea is acting a little bit rambunctious again. So I ordered 4,000 television sets from South Korea. Whether it's Samsung or Sharp or LG or any of them, they're all made in South Korea. I paid a fortune. And they're wonderful, and they're wonderful people. They're making a fortune. Do we have anybody that makes television sets in this country? I almost don't think so, right? So they're mostly made, other than Sony, which has lost its way. Prices are too high. But they're mostly made in South Korea. So now I see North Korea is acting up. So I see that we're sending ships, and we're getting our troops ready. We have 28,000 troops over there, and we're getting ready just in case. Bob, we're going to fight. We're going to protect. We get nothing. We get nothing. What do we get? We get nothing. Saudi Arabia, and I get along great with all of them. They buy apartments from me. They spend $40 million, $50 million. Am I supposed to dislike them? I like them very much. But, you know, Saudi Arabia makes $1 billion a day. A day. That's, in all fairness, just before the oil went down a little bit, but that's okay. These are minor details. But let's say they were. So now they're making $500 million a day. That's not so bad, right? We get nothing. And they wouldn't be there without our protection. Even Germany. Germany's a power. Who has a Mercedes-Benz? Anybody? A lot of people. They're a power. They pay us nothing. We defend the whole world. All you have to do, and we want to be nice. Somebody said, oh, that's like the mafia defense. I said, don't worry about it, okay? The mafia is not so stupid, all right? They said, that's terrible to ask for money. No, they said it. They said, that's terrible. How could you possibly ask for money to defend a country? I mean, tell me, how crazy are we? So now we're sending our ships, we're sending our everything. We got, I'll tell you what, those 28,000 troops that we have right now on the border between North and South Korea, that's dangerous territory. They're in harm's way. They're in harm's way. And we get nothing. We get nothing. Other than they're a good competitor. I mean, they compete with us. They take our trade. We lose a fortune with them. We lose a fortune with China. We defend Japan. You know, we have an agreement with Japan where if somebody attacks Japan, we have to come to their rescue. But if we get attacked, Japan doesn't have to help us. Do you think that's a good deal? That's sort of like Sergeant Bergdahl. Has anybody heard of Sergeant Bergdahl? The traitor. No, the traitor. I call President Obama the 5-for-1 president. We get Sergeant Bergdahl, a traitor, who, by the way, 6 people, at least, that we know of, 6 people were killed trying to get this guy back. 6 people. They went after him. They wanted to get him back. So we get Sergeant Bergdahl, and they get 5 people that they desperately wanted for years that are right now back on the battlefield, trying to kill everybody, including us. How stupid are we? How stupid are we? And, you know, the reason we have crowds, and no matter where I go, the other night we were in New Hampshire. We had some, New Hampshire was so incredible, the crowd. You saw it, it was in television. You know, every time I go on television, it's got to be live. It's live. I said, oh, can I have a rest, please? Tonight it's live on Fox. It's live. Who likes Fox? I like Fox. It's live on CNN. Who likes CNN? All right. And it's, oh, this is going to be a, and it's live on MSNBC, right? Well, they're still working. They're still working. But I said, you know, how come it always has to be live? Why don't they just cover me like anybody else, where they go the next day and they show a little clip? Every time I speak, it has to be live. It's not this ridiculous. But it's okay, right? We have to suffer with it. But look, the reason I have this really incredible enthusiasm, and I really appreciate you, especially with this weather and this heat and everything else, but the reason I have it is because I do know what I'm doing. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way. You people are looking for somebody that knows what he's doing, whatever it is. You know, thank you, darling. I'm going to sign her book. I got to get her the hell out of here. She's so beautiful. I said it the other night. My second favorite book of all time. What's my first favorite book? The Bible. The Bible. And as much as I love The Art of the Deal, it's not even close. We take the Bible all the way, right? Okay, thanks. So I was saying, so they said I wasn't going to run. And everybody said, oh, he's never going to run. Never going to run. He's just having fun. Just a good time. His brand, and like I care, my brand. At this point, you know, my brand. I mean, I lose gutless Macy's because I said about illegal immigration, they dropped my brand, and I'm supposed to be. They're gutless. They're all gutless. I have to sue Univision. Univision, my poor Miss Universe people, the beautiful girls, these beautiful women, some are girls, but beautiful women. And I get dropped by, think of it, you have these magnificent women that work all their life to be in the Miss USA contest and the Miss, and 2 weeks before the contest, NBC and Univision drop because they thought my tone was a little bit strong. And it turned out I was right. So here's the good news. I sued them both. And, I mean, in the case of Univision, I sued them for $500 million. I want that money. I want that money. So I actually put it on the other day, Miss USA. I put it on because it was only fair to the people. And we had it on this small network, and it was fine. But who would do that? All because they want to be so politically correct. They actually called and they said, oh, we'll get it back on soon, we'll get it back on soon. You know, in the case of a couple, they said, Trump loses NASCAR. It was all over the world. A friend of mine called, you know, because I opened with a strong statement, meaning illegal immigration. We got to solve the problem. So all over, one day it was NASCAR. Trump loses NASCAR. I said, I don't have a deal with NASCAR. It turned out that I lost NASCAR. You know what they did? They rented a ballroom at Trump Doral. Can you believe it? That was my loss of it. They had a ballroom. And by the way, I kept their deposit and rented it to somebody else. Okay. The next day, I didn't even know I had to deal with them. It turned out they had a ballroom in one of my places, Doral. The next day, ESPN severs ties with Trump. It's all over the world. ESPN. I have friends that called me from Paris. He's a great businessman. Oh, it's too bad about what happened to ESPN. You know what it was? A golf outing at one of my courses in Los Angeles. Can you believe it? This is my big deal. And this was all over the world. I mean, the press, I don't know, maybe they didn't get it. Maybe they don't get it. I was very disappointed, though, with Macy's. You know, shirts and ties, not a big deal. But they heard there were going to be 3 pickets in front of the store. And they called, oh, we're going to have pickets. We're going to have pickets. I said, look, in 2 hours they'll be gone. Believe me. They'll go for lunch. They won't come back. Don't worry about it. I've been through it. It's true. But they said, oh, this is so bad. Can we sever ties? I said, I don't care, sever ties. I don't wear ties so much anymore, you know. I didn't like the ties that much anyway. You know why? Because they were made in China. It always drove me nuts. True. True. But they were good. They were good. But I just hate gutless people. And so the reason that we're getting this receptivity, which is like this all over the place, is because I filed my papers. And they said, never going to run. Then they said, never going to sign the big document, which is a 1-page document, which basically you're giving your life away. And I signed. And then they say, oh, I can't believe it. The pundits, you know, they get paid $500,000 a year to sit there and make jerks out of themselves, right? Call them pundits. Some are great. Some are really incompetent. I could tell you the ones, but you know what? They're starting to get nicer to me, so I think I can. Now, you know, oh, he knows. He says, I know which one. There are more than one. There are still about 5 left. There were about 50. Now there's about 5. But they're starting to get, now they're coming around. But what happens is then they say, he'll never file his financials. He'll never file. Because he's probably not as rich as people think. I said, actually, one of the reasons I want to run, because I want to file my financials. They're so good. It's true. It's true. So I have like about 102 pages or 98 pages of stuff, and they have all these boxes, over 50 million, over 50 million. And I found and they were phenomenal. They were phenomenal, much better. And people realized, and it was a net worth, and this is not bragging, and I'm going to tell you why. Over $10 billion. That's good, right? Very little debt. Very little debt. In fact, to show you how stupid these people, it has a line for income. And the income was like, I think it's over $400 million a year. Is that good? My son is here. Look at Eric. He can live on that. So it says a line, income. And it's like, you know, it varies with different things. But basically, over $400 million a year, 365. Is there anybody that would not want to make that much money in 1 year here? Anybody? Raise your hand. Well, with it comes responsibility. But I will tell you this. The reason people like what I'm saying is because I want to put that energy, whatever the hell kind of energy is. I don't know if it's screwed up, if it's good, if it's genius, if it's whatever it is. I know how to do things. I know, and I'm not going to I won't care about, you know, we're building a great building on Pennsylvania Avenue, right opposite between, as you know, the White House and the old post office. You know, in real estate, there's a slogan, always get the post office, because they were there first. I got the old post office in Washington, D.C. And I got it from the Obama administration. Can you believe that? Now, that's called deal-making. One of the most sought-after buildings in the history of the General Services Administration. And I got it. And you know what? They did the right thing, because we're doing a great job. And we had a great statement. They want to make sure it gets done. And it'll be opening. And here's a little story. It's now under budget and ahead of schedule. Do you ever hear that from government? And we just finished around a lot of great jobs. And my son is here, Eric Trump. And Ivanka. Has anybody ever heard of Ivanka? Has anybody? And I'll let them run it. I'm not going to let them do any big deals. Just relax, Eric. Just relax. Just comment. But you know what? I won't care about that company. My whole energy, who cares if we do a building, it doesn't mean anything. My whole energy, my whole being is going to be to make our country rich and to make our country great again. That's what my whole thing. And I mean, it's my primary, it's a great aptitude. I've always had an aptitude for making money. Some people would say that's nice. One person said, Mr. Trump, that's very crass. I said, what? You said you're going to make the country rich. That's very crass. I said, you have to understand. In order to make our country great, I have to make it rich again. We're a debtor nation. We're a debtor nation. He agreed. Do you agree with me? Yes, he agrees. I can see that. Anybody with a sign that big has to agree. So I will devote 1,000%. I couldn't care less about the old post office. I couldn't care less about any of our stuff. My kids are really good. They're going to run it very nicely. And I just want to make this country so great. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what's going to happen. Like, as an example, give you a couple examples. In Alabama, U.S. Steel, big closure, or essentially a closure. And I said, why? What happened? And I went around and I said, anybody work there? No, I don't think so. I hope not. But big closure. And one of the reasons that China is dumping so much steel into the United States, and other countries also. But China, oh, I love that sign. Look at that, huh? Wow. Wow. Oh, that's true. Except the only problem is you're breaking everybody's view, but the sign is fantastic. Thank you. So China is dumping tremendous amounts of steel into our country. The government is subsidizing it. It's almost like they want us to just die. And they have no respect for us. And again, like Saudi Arabia, like Japan, I get along with them great. You know, the largest bank in the world is in one of my buildings. They pay me rent. They buy apartments, they spend so much money. Am I going to dislike them? I love them. The problem is, and I say it all the time, their leaders are really smart. They're really cunning. They're really sharp. And we have dummies, right? We have dummies. We have dummies. We have people that don't have a clue. And I don't know, you know, some people say they're bad people. I don't think they're bad people. I think they're incompetent people. A lot of people think they're bad. I don't think they're bad. I think they're incompetent. So you look at China and what they've done. And, you know, last week, and I said this, and I've been saying bubble for a long time. You've been hearing it. Last week, they devalued their currency. And we're having a lot of hard times because of what they did. And when I hear devaluation of the Chinese currency, you know the word, the sucking action. That's called a sucking, like a vacuum cleaner. I have this sucking action. Two things happen. Two things get sucked out of us. Our jobs and our money. Now think of it. China sells us our product, takes our jobs, takes our base, does our manufacturing for us, and we owe them $1.4 trillion. That's like a magic act. I call it the magic act, in reverse. We owe them money. Japan, and Japan is back. They have Abe, who's the new prime minister, as you know. And Abe is really smart. I mean, he's smart. I met him one time. He's sharp. And he's negotiating against Carolyn Kennedy. Carolyn. And I was watching 60 Minutes. I'll give you guys a plug. I was watching 60 Minutes. And they're doing a feature on Carolyn Kennedy. And she's very nice. You know why I like her? Because Ivanka Trump likes her. My daughter likes anybody that my daughter likes, right? Anybody my daughter likes, we love Ivanka. So what happens is that they're doing a feature, and they said, how did you become ambassador to Japan? And with Japan, the ambassador is a very important position because we negotiate. You know, you need somebody sharp. You need a killer, right? A smart killer, not a dumb killer, because there are plenty of dumb killers, too. You need somebody sharp. So they said, how did you get the ambassadorship? She said, well, and this is pretty close. I mean, you can check it out. Well, I don't know. I wanted a job, and I had nothing to do. So I went to the White House, and I said, could I have a job? Do you have anything for me to do? And they said, how would you like to be ambassador to Japan? And she said, really? She said, I'll do it. She couldn't believe she got it. And then they show, the rest of the show is her being wined and dined by Abby and all of these killers. Wined and dined. She's being feted at a dinner and this and lunches and breakfast. She'll do anything they want. Anything. So I have the smartest, toughest, meanest, in many cases, most horrible human beings on earth. I know them all. They're killers. They're negotiators. Some are nice people, very few. Some are nice people. But I will put the meanest, smartest, we have the best in the world. We don't use them. We use political hacks, diplomats. We use people that don't have any business ability. We use people that have never done a job. Oh, somebody stole my plane. Damn it. No, people are pointing up to the plane. No, it's actually not mine. And, you know, like as an example, Carl Icahn. Did anyone ever hear of Carl? He's an unbelievably brilliant, tough business guy. So I called him. I had dinner with him 2 nights ago. I said, you know, Carl, I'm doing pretty well. I'm leading every poll. He said, you're doing great. He can't believe it either. And I said, if I ever get there, I want you to oversee the negotiations with China. I can give him 2. He's extraordinary. China and Japan. I'll do it. I'll do it. He's like, I'll do it. Remember when I said somebody has blood coming out of her eyes with hatred, right? Well, he had blood coming out of her. He will do it. He is unbelievable negotiator, an unbelievable negotiator. And I know others. I know the best. I know the worst. I know the ones that are overrated. I know the ones that you've never heard about or read about that are better than all of them. But Carl's one of the greats. I mean, he's very famous, he's very rich, and he would love to do it. He'd love to give back. And he knows what's happening. They're ripping us. So they send their stuff over here. And actually, somebody the other day said, what China has done to the United States is the greatest single theft in the history of the world. It's an interesting statement. We've rebuilt China. We've rebuilt China. So, you know, we have free trade. The problem with free trade is when you have free trade, very important, you need competent leaders. That's the one problem with free trade. I like free trade. I'm a free trader. The problem is you need great negotiators and great leaders. We don't have that. So we're getting killed by everybody. I use these 3 or 4 countries. We don't make good deals. Everybody's killing us. So we will have unbelievable deals. A friend of mine is a manufacturer, and he's trying to do business with China. And what he's going through, and he's a good manufacturer, makes great product, better than what they do. They don't want him sending us stuff. Then he calls me and goes, you know, it's impossible to do business. I can't get my product. They're dumping stuff over here, comes in by the shipload. He said, it's impossible. I can't get my product. Finally he gets a product in there, and they charge him a massive tax, which they call a tariff because it sounds a little more sophisticated, right? And he calls me and goes, it's impossible to do business with China. Boeing does business with China, and they want all of their intel. They want all of their copyrights. They want everything. Otherwise, we're not buying planes. And they're now building big factories in China. I don't blame China. I mean, I respect them. I'm not angry at them. I'm angry at our leaders for being so stupid. I'm not angry at China. And Mexico is the same thing. You know, Mexico is the new China. The other day, Nabisco, Oreos, right? Oreos. I love Oreos. I'll never eat them again. Okay? I'll never eat them again. No, Nabisco closes a plant they just announced a couple of days ago in Chicago, and they're moving the plant to Mexico. Now, why? 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 Have you heard my story? My favorite story is Ford. You've heard the story with Ford? Do we want to hear it again or not? Yes. All right. I mean, that's a big one. So Ford, great company, they're building a $2.5 billion car factory in Mexico. Now, they're closing up places all over the United States. They're building this massive factory in Mexico. So I went to this great school. I was actually, you know, I was, and hopefully still am, really smart. I went to this great place, the Wharton School of Finance, hardest school to get into. Even then it was hard to get into, the hardest. But I went to this great business school, and I get business. And I fully understand. I'm really good at this stuff. So they're building a $2.5 billion plant. They're going to close up factories in the United States. They're going to go and they're going to build this plant. They're going to sell cars. They're going to sell them back to us. They're going to sell them all up. Where does that help us? Tell me. Explain. Explain. There's no tax. There's no nothing. There's no nothing. So we're closing plants here. They're building this massive plant in Mexico. Another plant, also another big foreign car company. There was a plant being built. It was all set to get started. They were going to announce it in Tennessee. You read about it. And this is a couple of months ago, Wall Street Journal, all set to get started. All of a sudden, Mexico took it away. And now it's not going to be built in Tennessee. It's going to be built in Mexico. So Ford is building a plant. And here's what I did. I said to myself, I give myself this, because it really is sort of right. I give myself this position. And I say, let's assume that somebody else becomes president. Wouldn't that be horrible? Wouldn't that be horrible? So let's assume somebody else becomes president. Let's assume a very low-energy person, very, very low energy. So low energy that every time you watch him, you fall asleep. But let's say, he said Hillary. Yeah, Hillary too. So let's say Jeb becomes president. Not good. Not good. First thing that happens is, like I said, your schools go to hell. People flow over the... But forgetting about that. So let's say that Jeb doesn't want this plant built. So they're going to call him the head of Ford. And they're going to say, Mr. President, we want to build it. He'll say, well, we don't want it built. The next day or the next hour, he's going to get a call from the lobbyists and the special interests and his donors. And they're going to say, hey, Jeb, we gave you $8 million of your $120 million that you raised. We gave you $8 million. We want that thing done. You can't do that to our people. Oh, well, okay, I'll approve. It's going to get done, okay? The plant will get built. That'll be it. Now, let's take Trump as president, okay? Is that better? Is that better? Here's a simple question. Who would you rather have negotiating with China, Japan, Mexico, any other? Trump or Bush? Actually, what a group. What a group. Well, you know, it's sort of interesting. Thank you. CNN does this big report that came out last week, so I was leading in the polls. It was a poll. And everybody says, why don't I have a pollster? What the hell do I need a pollster? Every day I wake up, there's another poll, right? You know, they pay these guys like $100,000 a month, and they can't function because unless they go and have it vetted with their pollster, they can't talk. And I say, why do I need a pollster when every day there's a new poll and they give like 30 pages? I don't have to get a pollster. What the hell do I need it? Save your money. Okay. But CNN did this really very, very expensive, very well done poll. It's only well done because I was leading by a lot. If it wasn't, I'd say it wasn't. And they had leadership. I was way ahead of everybody. They had, actually, I was very good in warrior. You know the thing I'll be great at? That people aren't thinking, but the thing and I do very well at it, military. I am the toughest guy. I will rebuild our military. It will be so strong and so powerful and so great. It will be so powerful and so great that we'll never have to use it. Nobody's going to mess with us, folks. Nobody. Nobody. Nobody's going to mess with us. Beautiful. So I look at the various things to do with our country. And by the way, one of them, boy, are we going to take care of our vets, right? Right? They did a poll, another poll, but they did a poll on, like, who's one of the most popular with the vets. I was the most popular person. They like me, and I love them. Because you know why? Because for 35 years, these senators and these, other than Jeff, of course, I take Jeff, but these senators, these congressmen, these people in Washington, including presidents, they have done nothing for the vets. They have done nothing. And we're going to take care of our vets. But, so they do this poll, and in the poll, I score really high marks on almost everything. Other than they thought I wasn't a nice person. They said, who's the nicest? And I was like pretty low on that board. And I'm a nice person. But who cares? A woman came up to me. She said, I'm not sure that you're nice enough to be president. I said, you know what? This is not going to be an election based on a nice person. It's going to be based on a competent person. We're tired of the nice people. So I won on the economy. I won on jobs. I won on leadership by massive numbers, like massive. You've seen it. I won on all these categories. I say, why do we need an election? We don't need an election. These are such important categories. But I have had an amazing experience because from the time I announced, almost, other than the first week, that was a rough week. They were hitting me. But the press, which is, by the way, largely very dishonest, I have to say this. The political media, I actually think that the political media is less popular than Congress. Can you believe it? And Congress has almost no ratings. And in all fairness, because look at all those cameras, they're all live, and they're trying to shut off the camera right now. But you know what? They're all live. And so many live cameras. But look at, thank you. But I will say this. The media is very dishonest, but there is a certain group that are fantastic people. And every once in a while, I'll get an honest story, and I love it. I cherish those stories. They're not often, but they cherish those stories. But we have, you have to understand, and they really started treating me much better. Don't forget, when I first ran, I said, you know, it's amazing. Went to a great school, excellent student, smart guy. My uncle was a professor at MIT. He was a smart guy. You know, good, smart guy, right? Good family. Do we believe in the gene thing? I mean, I do, right? You know, I do. Like they used to say, Secretariat doesn't produce slow horses. Actually, Secretariat wasn't one of the best, if you want to know the truth. But in theory, that's true. But then I went out, I made a tremendous built a tremendous fortune and great company. I did The Art of the Deal and many books that were bestsellers. The Art of the Deal was one of the biggest selling, maybe the biggest selling business book of all time. I did The Apprentice. We love The Apprentice. Tremendous. NBC hates me. You know, NBC hates me because they renewed The Apprentice. And I said, excuse me, I'm not doing it. I'm running for president. I'm going to make the country great again. They actually came up to my office, and the top people, great people from NBC, and they said, please, please, run. And I said, I'm not running. I mean, I'm not running. They said, we already renewed the show. They had sold most of the advertising. They renewed the show. I said, I'm going to run, and I'm going to make our country great. We're going to do something that's special. We're going to do something that's special. I'm hired. You're hired. So I look at the landscape of our country. I look at where we're going. I look at where we've been. We've had a horrible number of years. A horrible number of years. We can't beat ISIS. I watched a general the other day on television who's just retiring, which is fortunate. How do you think we'll do against ISIS? Oh, I don't know. It's going to be very tough. Can you believe this? General George Patton, General Douglas MacArthur are spinning in their graves as you listen to this. They're spinning in their graves. He talks about a hard time. And I look at what's going on with the landscape, and then I get to meet all of the people that I've met over the last period of time. And I want to tell you, it's been amazing. It's been really amazing. And I want to finish up with a couple of little points. One of them is the Ford deal, right? Israel, I love Israel. Oh, by the way. The bottom line on Ford, because some of you, I love this story because, so when I get the call, I say, no. You're going to build in the United States. They're going to say, no, we don't want to do that. I say, let me tell you, sir, you're going to build in the United States. And I will be called by people, but I will not have any of their money, so I don't care. And they're going to say, and I'll call them in, and I'll say, listen, here's the story. You're building $2.5 billion in Mexico. We're going to charge you a tremendous little 35% tax, okay? 35%. And that tax is going to be for every car and every part and every truck that comes into the United States. And here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. As sure as you're standing or sitting, they're going to come back to me the following day. I would say the following afternoon. Let's say it's 12. I say by the time the day, and I don't need Carl Icahn, I don't need, this one's too easy. And they're going to come back, and they're going to say, Mr. President, no. Then I'm going to get called by the lobbyists, I'm going to get called by the special, and I'm going to say no interest, no interest. Within 24 hours, they will call and they'll say, Mr. President, what you're doing to us is terrible. We will build in the United States. We will build a plant in the United States. 100%. And I'll say the same thing to Nabisco. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help us. When you look at what's going on, where Nabisco's closing and so many places are closing, when you look at the kind of money that these countries are making, and I'm naming a few, I mean so many countries, we don't have anything left. We're running on fumes. We're running on fumes. There's nothing here. When you look at what happens, they're so much sharper. They're so much smarter. And we're not going to have a country left. We need to have our borders. We need to make great deals. You know, the man in the back just shouted Israel. How would you like to be Israel right now? They relied on us. They're a voice of sanity. They're great people. And we have a deal that is so incompetent, so bad. Think of the deal. We make a deal. Our chief negotiator goes into a bicycle race at 73 years old. He falls, he breaks his leg. That was the good part of our deal. That was the only thing that happened. No, think of it. And I told people last week, because I told this last week, I swear to you, I will never, ever ride a bicycle, at least in a race, but I won't ride one anyway. But we have a new thing that just came up yesterday in the deal. We know all about the 24-day period, right? But the 24-day period, that clock doesn't start ticking for a long time. For a long time. So that could be forever. So if they're doing something, believe me, by the time we get there. But here's the all-time great. First of all, why aren't they giving us back our prisoners? And second, can you believe this? Can you believe it? And second of all, the other day, it was determined that Iran, in a very important section, maybe the most important, right, is going to do their own policing. They are going to police. They are going to police, and they are going to tell us, we swear we're not building anything. It's so sad. It's so sad. Obamacare. We are going to repeal and replace Obamacare. We are going to come up with a plan, and there are so many different ways. You know, you don't know this because you don't think of Obama this way. Do you know who the biggest beneficiaries of Obamacare are? The insurance companies. The insurance companies. Remember I told you, special interests and lobbyists. The insurance companies love it. We could have such great plans if we'd get rid of the artificial lines around every city. I have a huge company. And when I negotiate, it's like get one group. You can't negotiate. Some of the people that own businesses know what I'm talking about. The insurance companies are so protected. They're making a fortune. We're going to end that. We're going to make it so competitive. We're going to get rid of the artificial barriers. You're going to get such great plans. And Obamacare, I mean, you look at what's happening with your premiums. I mean, look at this. Look at what's happening. Just take a look at what's happening to the deductibles. They're so high, it's impossible. It's impossible. Trade, we're going to fix it. Health care, we're going to fix it. Women's health issues, we're going to fix it. You know, my wife came up to me the other day, and she said, it's really sad because people don't understand how you cherish women. I will protect women. It's so important to me, so important. And I heard some of the other candidates, Jeb and some of the others the other day, saying we're not going to fund various women's health issues. Can you believe this? I said that's the end of his election. Women, I don't think, like that too much. Do we agree? And he said we're not going to fund women's health issues. A few hours later, he came back and he said he misspoke. Oh, okay, he misspoke. But women's health issues, so important. We're going to end up taking our country. We are going to make it so strong, so powerful, so loved by people again. So loved. You know, one of the problems that we have, and you don't see it tonight, but you see it, is a tremendous lack of spirit. And I actually thought that President Obama, the one thing, he was inexperienced, he never produced a job, lots of other things. But I actually thought that he would be a really great cheerleader for the country when he was elected. I thought that he would. And he's really turned out to be a great divider as opposed to a great unifier. Really has. And you look at Baltimore, you look at Ferguson, you look at St. Louis last night, over the last week. You look at all the things that are happening. We're sitting on powder kegs. There's no spirit. There's no jobs. There's no anything. We are going to take this country. I am going to be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I will tell you that. I will tell you. You are going to be so proud. You know, I oftentimes say the American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and stronger and more powerful than ever before. And that's what's going to happen. I am going to make this country bigger and stronger and better, and you're going to love it, and you're going to love your president, and we're going to turn this place around, and you're going to be so proud. And you know, our whole theme is Make America Great Again. We are going to make America better than it's ever been, and we're going to love doing it, and we're going to have fun doing it. And I just want to thank everybody, because this has been really, really special. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.